And that was a fun trip, guys. Thank you for coming with me on that journey. We met Ken, who was a Shelby expert, and now we brought the car back over to the East Coast, where its temporary housing would be here with Mill Reserve Classics. And I wanted to go over a few things with you guys while I have the car here on the turntable before we take it out for a test drive inspection. And that's gonna be some of the goods and bads about this particular vehicle. And the most important thing about this vehicle is it's an original 1967 Shelby GT500. Huge name in the automotive business. And it started off with Carroll Shelby. So the first early cars were actually made by Shelby themselves. After that, it transferred over to Ford. So this is an early car. We have the early 200s, one of the first 200 cars, any of the first 200 GT500s ever made. So it has a lot of options on the car that you can see here today. It has the moss green paint, which is in very decent condition, all the way down to the optioned wheels that you see here today. Now, the few bad things about the car is it's an original car, Survivor quality car. Now, what that means is that as you go through the paint, you're gonna notice that this car was repainted at one point in time. The paint job is not up to par, and remember, Shelbys have a lot of fiberglass components. If you look at the hood and you look at the trunk, you're gonna notice some cracking and some chipping, and that's throughout the vehicle. For us here at Mill Reserve Classics, we wanna represent the car the best that we can. If we were to own the car ourselves for our personal collection, how we would want the car to turn out. So starting off in the front of the car here, you're gonna notice the factory style headlights on here. And if you look at the center grille lights on this Mustang, they still have the stamping on there, FOMO, Ford Motor Company. As opposed to the 68s, if I'm correct, those were fog lights. These are actually the high beams. So when you turn the headlights on, the outers will come on. As soon as you put the high beams on, they'll all go through. Also incorporated that with is the grille. Now this is a factory correct Shelby GT500 grill. The aftermarket grills that were installed would have actually been sloped towards the front just a little bit. Correct Shelby style hood. And as I was saying before about the wheels. Now, typically, back in the day when you were ordering a car, your order slip would be what you got on the car, and then on the bottom there, you'll notice the additional options. And one of those additional options, as I was saying before, are the Kelsey Haynes wheels. Now, these are 15-inch wheel, and they have a chrome lip, so they're actually two-piece. If you look on the inside of the wheel, you'll notice there's a chrome lip and a machine face. What does that mean? It's two pieces. So what they did was they riveted the face of the wheel to the lip of the wheel. So cool. Nowadays, you'll notice they're either bolted or they're welded all the way around. So imagine being back in 1967 and having this type of styling, the technology, and just the appearance that you would have get. It's just unreal. Going along the side of the car, you'll notice all the correct Shelby emblems, the vinyl decaling, and the stripes throughout. These are painted and correct stripes. So when we go through the car, we have all of our stuff that we just talked about that's factory correct and how the car is supposed to look. Typically, we would give you guys some options and let you guys know really what we're doing with the car. With a vehicle of this provenance, we want to make it better. We want to restore it. So what we're going to end up doing with this vehicle is just improving it and not really changing anything. We're going to actually take the paint down. We're going to sand everything down. If you guys want to come look at one of the things that I'm talking about, and it's very typical, you'll get some cracking in some of the fiberglass components. You'll notice some chip marks over here, some scratches, and some other markings that somebody attempted to try to repair with an incorrect paint color. And with this type of car, that's not right, it's not correct. We're gonna take all of the components off of the vehicle, all these stainless steel components and polished pieces off, and repolish them and give them a mirror-like finish. You don't want to replace parts like this. These are all factory. If I could give you guys an aftermarket windshield trim and give you a factory windshield trim, you're gonna notice the difference right away. It's, you know, some people tell me all the time, man, cars aren't made the way they used to. These are real metal fenders. You know, nowadays you get into a little fender bender, the whole car is total. They don't make the metal like they used to. The wheels, big thing. you're gonna drive this car. We want all of our vehicles to be driven. We're gonna keep and put a brand new style set of BF Goodrich radial TA tires on there so you're able to drive it. And we're gonna make it appear as it did back in 1967 with shaving the walls down and applying the film to the wheels to make it look like it did as if it came off of the floor back in 1967. Next thing I wanna show you guys is underneath the hood. So let's get the hood popped. So we have the correct hood pins on the vehicle. Just pull these guys down right here. And I will tell you, when we open up this hood, it's like taking a step back in time. Now, if we look, we have the original style radiator, and you're gonna notice there's stampings all the way throughout this car. There's stampings in the trunk, there's stampings underneath, there's stampings inside the car, all the way throughout. So it's really good indication of the mileage on this car. Mileage should represent what the car looks like and feels like. And with that being said, this vehicle's got about 38,000 miles on there. 3-owner car, which is super rare, being, you know, over almost 60 years old now. Now, if you could picture yourself back in 1967, we didn't have what we do have today, such as the internet and all of the R&D, research and development. So picture yourself building a vehicle of this caliber, which at that time was just a car. Today, it is an iconic piece of American history. The Shelby name has made a name for itself, and everybody knows Carroll Shelby. So put yourself back in 1967 when you're trying to make a vehicle that was never made before, considered a concept vehicle as well. Put yourself in another position where it's the first 200 of those cars even made. So you're taking parts off of the shelf in a way, and you're seeing what works and what is gonna fit into this car. And that's what we have here today. We have the Ford 428 FE big block setup, and everything's correct down to the mileage of the car. Everything puts itself and interlays with the mileage of the car. The mileage of the car, 38,000 miles, original. Got, I believe it was either 3 or 4 owners on this vehicle, and the last owner owning the vehicle for 40 years. So everything on the car as it was back in 1967. You see all the components throughout. You see a lot of stampings, not only in the hood, all the way down to the trunk area, so you know that the rear's never been taken off. If you move the VIN tag here, you're gonna notice the original stamping, and you can also notice that on the inside of the fender, so that inside of the fender was never taken apart. One of the other things that I really wanted to show you guys is down to even the power brake system on here. It's original master cylinder that's on the car, and I'm gonna be verifying even down to the power steering. But just a super and original correct car that we're just gonna make even better. So let's move over to the inside and show you guys what a 38,000 mile car really looks like. All right, so first thing, if you guys can smell that, that's the smell of 1967 with the factory correct interior. And I'll show you guys in a little bit. We're gonna go take this car out for a little inspection drive and really see how this baby handles. Everything works. All the lights, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but all the lights are working. All the dash components fully work. We went through the entire car. You'll see the optional oil pressure gauges, the amp gauges, 4-speed transmission, very nice dash, carpet, the rare fold down seat in the back. So whether you're putting golf clubs in there or looking for a good time, it's got a lot of space back there. One thing that we're gonna go through, and you know, as you guys watch this whole video, there are certain key components that you can't see. And what I mean by that is back in the day, Shelby had a 4-point roll harness in the car. And what they found out was putting the 4-point roll harnesses in these vehicles, you can't put any of the trim panels back in. So what they did was they took the easy way out. They left the roll bar in here, took a Sawzall and just cut the back portion of the roll bar off and left it in there, put the panels back on and sent it on the way. So we're gonna pull those panels off to really see if this is an early car as we believe it is. So stuff like that, you're not gonna notice until you take some parts out. So we'll pull the panels off and actually see if this is a 4-point harness or a 2-point harness. And attached to those are your, I call them death seat belts, but your seat belts that came over the roll bar here. So if you stop short, it just locked you in and threw your neck forward. But overall, a really nice quality interior that was definitely kept in very, very good condition, even down to the door panels. And last but not least, before we take this baby out for the road inspection, the rear end of the vehicle, correct working taillights, factory styled, well actually factory correct, real exhaust tips, chrome exhaust tips. You have that Shelby trunk on here. Is the original rim and tire. So that Goodyear tire seen its day. It's definitely got some wear. It's got some curb marks on there. Really cool. It gives it some character, as well as the trunk liner in here. You could see it's just as it was. It's still plenty of dirty. So we'll clean all that up. You'll notice some of the hand stitching on here. It's really cool. So the new ones are a vinyl material. This is actually a woven material with a backing on here. Definitely factory original on there. So if you notice on the left hand and the right hand side, as I was saying before, a lot of the stampings are still on this trunk. So let's get this baby out on the road and show you what she can do. All right, this is so amazing. I totally forgot how this car felt. I mean, it definitely feels like you're taking a step back in time. And I'll tell you what, it's a great feeling. Feels really nice. But there are some things that we got to correct and go through. First thing is the easy things, checking all of our blinkers, seeing if all those gauges are working. We went through everything down to the horn, which is amazing that everything still works, going through everything. The only thing that I did notice is over here, didn't see the heater turn on, so we'll put that on our inspection list. As well as I'm hearing a few little creaks and crackles through the car. Other than that, it's performing really well. You can definitely hear when that second carb fully opens up, and you know, you downshift from fourth down to third. Looks like we're having a little bit of difficulty there, so put that on the list. Yeah, having a little bit of difficulty getting back into third. But you can hear that second carb just open right up, and this baby just takes off. Check through everything. The windshield wipers, our remote mirrors, they're all still working. Suspension's a little rough. We're gonna go through everything, but it's, you know, the car's built in 1967. Going through, our lap belts are working really nice. It's holding me in good. I'm not gonna be putting the roll bar seat belts on, definitely not. But really just a very, very, very well preserved piece of history. Now, one thing I noticed when we pulled this car right off of the turntable, there was a few spots of oil. I was able to sneak my head up under there, and we do have some oil leaks. So when we get this baby at the shop, we're gonna have to pull the transmission. Looks like we're having a little issues here with third gear, as well as seeing what's going on. I believe it's a rear main seal. So one thing I just noticed, we just came to a stop here. We held at about 2,000 RPMs, and if I gave it some gas, it backed down. So that tells me that one of the carburetors might be a little bit gummed up. So we'll go through it and give it a survivor quality restoration. We'll go through there, check all the floats and valves and stuff on there, check all the jets, make sure they're all clean. But power steering's working great. Whoa, that was nice. Yeah, this baby just opens up. Ton of power still left in this engine. Whew. I could just imagine myself back in 1967 driving down the strip. You come down to a stoplight, all of a sudden somebody pulls up next to you, you rev your engines, and bam, you spin those tires and take off. So I guess everything checks out. We have a list of what we need to take care of on this Mustang Shelby. So no other time but today to get started on this baby.